Alright, is anyone here? Because this is, I think, this is my 5th attempt to launch a live stream. And the thing about this is that LinkedIn wouldn't allow me to launch the live stream, the one that I planned. So the people who actually wanted to join the live stream, they would not get the notification. Okay? So, let's see if there's gonna be someone who's gonna join. So I see already a couple of people joining here, which is good. Could you please, if you're joining, could you write in the comments that you are actually here, something like, write just hi, so that I can see that you are actually joining it? Because I don't think that people are gonna get notification. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that the stream was even launched. Because it took me so long to launch the stream that it's crazy. Yeah. So, I wanna just say in advance that today and tomorrow, those are the last days where I'm doing this streaming marathon, where I'm sharing all the knowledge that I have. And not all the knowledge that I have, okay, so I have a little bit more stuff prepared in my bag, but I'm sharing as much as I can, as much as I like physically can in those relatively short period of time. And I'm not gonna be streaming, especially not gonna be streaming on LinkedIn that much, because, well, quite frankly, you can see it took me 16 minutes to start the stream, and I did not manage to start the right stream because you cannot modify the event. And here's the fun part: if you're late even for 1 minute for LinkedIn stream, it's not gonna allow you to launch the stream anymore. So you have to launch it like in advance, and in advance it wouldn't let me launch it. Alright, this is enough ranting about LinkedIn streaming, but I want to see if you guys can hear me, if you guys can see me, and I want to see if there's anyone here that I know, because LinkedIn probably will not notify people. Just gonna say that I'm live, and then you guys gonna have to guess that I'm live. So this is going to be pretty chill stream, because I also want to chill out a little bit, because tomorrow actually is going to be really crazy, because tomorrow is the last day for the sales for the Learn Apex, for like this marathon, or like the launch marathon that we are doing for the starting Learn Apex, and it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy tomorrow, so I have a lot of stuff prepared for tomorrow, especially for those people who are subscribed to my emails. Get ready, I'm gonna be messaging you quite a bit on the emails. If you're not ready, if you cannot stand my emails, I think today is the good time to unsubscribe. But it's gonna be only tomorrow, and then I'm just gonna go back to my normal schedule. Alright, so I see a little bit more people joined. Please write something in the chat, so that something like hi or plus, something that I can see that you are actually here, because I had a lot of troubles with this LinkedIn streaming and streaming in general. By the way, I'm also streaming on the YouTube right now, so doesn't make any difference for me. I can stream on a lot of different platforms. So I wanted to make this this particular stream here a little bit more, not that I am talking all the time, but I wanted to actually go a little bit more in the Q&A. I really liked it how it was the last time, where you could ask the questions with the audio and I could answer, but I cannot unfortunately do it in this way with the live stream. I have to take your written comments, but that's also gonna do the job. So let me maybe let's see if I can repost somehow this so that more people can see it. Let's see. Because that's now a new event, and thank you for the reaction. Yeah, this is an interesting fact. So now, before we actually go into the meat of everything that I wanted to tell you, so LinkedIn, I think it was bought by Microsoft for a lot of money, and if you compare the amount of innovation you have on different platforms like YouTube, for example, and on LinkedIn, you definitely see a big difference, right? So LinkedIn has a lot of interesting features, and I love the social media. This is my favorite social media. This is the one that I'm hanging out all the time. But the problem with LinkedIn that it innovates in the strange direction all the time. Like for example, sometimes when I have a viral post, I can get 200, 300 connections on LinkedIn, and I have to manually click through every single connection. Can you imagine that? And they had the feature in LinkedIn a couple of years ago where you could accept in one click all the connections, but they removed the feature. So that's as much about innovation on LinkedIn as you can get. All right. So what do you guys want to talk about? Do you have any questions? Do you have anything that bothers you? Because that would be a little bit more beneficial rather than me just talking all the time. Otherwise, I can just share with you what I planned to share. So it was a lot of blah 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 from my side in the first 13 minutes. But I can share with you what I plan to share, and let's see that I don't know, maybe I'm gonna delete the recording. I think I will. So it's gonna be a little bit more for private things that I'm gonna be sharing here. Oh, okay, I see Gian. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. LWC. Okay, this is interesting because I had a lot of people reaching out to me with so obviously right now you probably have heard about learnapex.com, right? The big thing that we are launching. We are running a big promotion till tomorrow. You still have time a little bit, but once the deadline is passed, you cannot get a lot of bonuses anymore, and you cannot get minus 50% as we have right now. So the thing is that a lot of people ask me about LWC in the last couple of days since I am running the learnapex.com. And the thing is that I am running learnapex.com. Apex, okay? It doesn't have anything to do with LWC. I have no idea why people asking me if learnapex.com has LWC inside. Well, surprise, surprise, it doesn't. It doesn't have any LWC. But I am aware that people want to have LWC courses, okay? So maybe I'm gonna be thinking about something like this in 2025. But what I definitely wouldn't want is to like produce another like, I don't know, another like Udemy course. It's not my style. I would rather wait 2 years and produce like really quality thing rather than like trying to put out something that's like half baked. But it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna have any LWC stuff. I already have like a course that some people have access. I'm not convinced about the quality of the course, so that I don't want to release it right now. And another important thing that I wanna really emphasize about LWC is that I see a lot of beginners when they start the Salesforce development and they go and try to learn LWC in the first like couple of months, and I think it's a big mistake. I don't think that you should start with LWC until you're super good with Apex. It has multiple reasons. One of the reasons is because LWC, it's very, very, how do you say it? You cannot write meaningful LWC code if you don't know Apex well enough. So Apex is the backend. It's something that powers LWC. So you need to be really good at Apex in order to write LWC. And I had one of the students, like I think like a year ago or something. So basically he came to me and he said, "Hey, I have here like a real world problem. So we want to build this table and we need to get done like in a couple of weeks." And we started the mentoring process with him, and turns out he doesn't know how to code. And I'm like, "Hey dude, I thought like you're doing LWC right now, like I assume that you already know how to code." And actually he said to me that he knows how to code, otherwise I wouldn't start mentoring with him, right? so I said to him, "Okay, so you said to me you know how to code." Yeah, he said, "Yeah, I know how to code," but that was not sufficient enough. So you need to be it's not enough to understand like small basics, like what is the variable. You need to really understand a lot of different things. Like you need to understand all the DMLs, loops, and all of these loops, lists, sets, maps, classes, objects, methods. All of this, it needs to be really, really great if you want to be able to write LWC. So LWC, it goes way once you're done with Apex. I think a good, for those people who joined Learn Apex, I think a good indicator is that you don't have any tasks on Learn Apex that you struggle with. Okay, so if you take any topic from Learn Apex, and if you can solve pretty much every task given enough time, then it means that you're good enough to move to the LWC, but not before. Okay, it's gonna only hurt you more, trust me. So it's a big mistake. So what happened to that guy? We actually went back with him, and we had to start and like actually go to the basics of Apex, right? And then we could switch into the LWC. So LWC, it has a lot of different things. It's weird because it's using JavaScript, right, as a language, and trust me, JavaScript is like damn strange language. It's not very usual language. It's not similar to Apex, even though there are concepts that are similar, because programming languages is still programming language, right? All programming languages, they are approximately the same, but it's different in many ways. And think about this. This is a fun fact coming now. So JavaScript was developed in basically, I think, a couple of months by like just single one developer, which kind of screams about the quality of the language itself. And you can actually feel it whenever you develop something with JavaScript. There's a lot of weird stuff that you cannot really explain, but that is just, it is what it is. That's what you usually say, like, oh, okay, that's like you get some very weird error and you're like, whatever, JavaScript, I'm used to it. So so okay, so the most important thing, don't go into LWC unless you are already quite good with Apex. It's my recommendation. So excellent question. Do you guys have any other questions? Because that was a real nice question. I really liked it. I love those questions. I'm nerding out about those type of things all the time. So let's see. It looks like actually quite a bit of people joined. So welcome. Welcome everyone. I messed up this stream. Tomorrow's gonna be the last stream that I'm gonna be doing, and because tomorrow is the deadline for the Learn Apex, so that's why we are doing this. All right. I might not be actually seeing your comments. Strange. All right. That comment was actually from YouTube. Now I realize. Now I understand what's the problem. Am I even live? Like, what the hell? Like, yes, I am. All right. No, this is crazy. This LinkedIn live streaming is driving me crazy. It shows me I'm offline, then it shows me I'm online. Whatever. So I'm gonna show you now the whole roadmap, basically, that I wanted to show you. But I'm more interested into hearing what you wanna hear. I wanna see your questions, guys. Come on. I don't know. I don't believe you don't have any questions. So shoot the questions while I'm preparing for you the roadmap. Right. So, from which countries are you actually joining? Because for me, it's quite late. For me, it's like 23 o'clock right now. You don't even say 23 o'clock in English. I'm quite sure about this. Write in the chat, what country are you from? Right. So mainstream. Let's see, Power. You can see that, yeah. Like this. Perfect. You can see that. Nice. All right. What's that? Something else. It's not what I wanted to show you. I've got here a lot of drawings. So the roadmap itself. Uh, ta, 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 ta. So this is the roadmap, all right? Um, but I want I want to emphasize that a lot of people. So here's the thing: when you think about Salesforce development, you're like, oh wow, Salesforce development, that's actually a lot of work, right? But just think about it, that there is a finite amount of topics that you will ever need as a Salesforce developer and that you need to cover as a Salesforce developer or learn, okay? Um, and one of the biggest problems that I see people like trying to study from Trailhead, for example, is that you have finite amount of time and you have a lot of topics. You have finite amount of topics as well, but there are so many that there are basically, you can say that there's infinite amount of topics. But you have a time constraint. You cannot just go and try to study every single topic, and that wouldn't be good. So the big thing about your journey, and this is what makes learning Salesforce development impossible or quite good, is that you set the right priorities. Okay. What I want you to avoid is that you go and study stuff like um, Aura components, for example, um, platform events, um, external credentials, whatever, like those type of topics. Um, I cannot just come up out of my head with the useless topics because they are useless. Um, but you get the point. So you don't want to go and try to learn every single topic. It's super important for you to think what to learn. Because you don't want to be grinding Apex all the time, right? You don't Apex or LWC, whatever. You want to just go and learn just enough to actually go get the job and start earning money with this, not just learning for the sake of learning. So priority is super important. And yeah, I like, do you need topics like our components, for example? Yeah, sure, at some point. But in a lot of cases, what you need to do is not learning in advance, right? So what I encourage everyone, if you're watching this and if you wanna uh, if you wanna learn Salesforce development, what I encourage you before we actually go into all of this is that you go and think about a project. Okay, so you think about a project, something that you would actually love to do, something that excites you, right? And of course, something that you need to use coding skills. And once you have this project, and I'm sure everyone knows what kind of project you would love to develop, because if you're working with the Salesforce, you definitely every day you see something that you maybe you want to improve it, maybe you hate something, maybe like I'm hating meetings, for example. I would try to somehow optimize meetings if I'm working as a Salesforce developer. So you can think about the project, and then once you have the project, you need to maybe ask ChatGPT, but you need to ask what kind of topics does it need. Topics. Yeah. And it's important that at this point, those gonna be the topics that gonna be real world topics, and it's not gonna be the coding topics. There's gonna be topics like, probably you're gonna say something like, let's say triggers, right? Triggers, integrations, maybe something like LWC, something like this. So let's say you have those topics. Now you need to take each of them and you need to try to distill it into smaller chunks, smaller lessons, right? Okay, a trigger. What does it mean that I will be able to write a trigger? Like, what do you usually use for writing triggers? Oh, I'm using maps. I'm using maps. Okay, but what is a map? Yeah? What is a map? Map is actually two things. It's a set and it's a list. It's a list. Okay? So this is how you basically distill this type of things. And then you say, okay, so set, it means that I need to learn sets. Okay, so what do I need to learn sets? And like this, you go and you can use ChatGPT for that, you can use Claude. But the point is that you're going from this real world project to the actual topics that you need to learn. Okay. All right. So is this any helpful so far? Write the plus in the chat if that's helpful, because I want to see your interactions. Gonna be the first one writing. All right. So. All right. So like this, you can distill the topics that you need. But I can, from my own experience, I can share with you the topics that I think most people need, and topics that I think most people don't need, and topics that I personally do it with my clients, all these topics, and it works pretty well. I bring people from zero to like being able to write integrations and all this, like as little as 90 days. So it works pretty well, and we are focusing mostly on the topics that are that I'm going to show you today. Okay, so these topics. This is the first stop. Okay, a lot of people call it OOP, whatever. I sometimes call it this way, but the biggest thing that those are not actually OOP concepts. What you wanna get at first as the first step, definitely variables. So this is important to understand. Okay, variables. The best way you can understand variables is not necessarily Apex or object-oriented programming languages. It's more like C or C++. Those languages, they give you a way better understanding of variables, but you don't need to go there. We're gonna stick to Apex. So the first topic is definitely variable all the time. So after the variable, this is you're gonna go into the classes, methods, and objects. I'm not sure why it's not here. Let me add it here, because here plus classes, and I would say this is plus objects. Okay, so you need to have those steps. So you need to have, come on, right? So you need to have classes and objects. And those three topics, classes, objects, and methods, they are together. And this is crazy because this is something that people skip, and this is super important. This is the first milestone. This is my personal milestone where I check if a person is actually capable of becoming a Salesforce developer. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna tell you this. Since there are not that many people, but I'm gonna tell you a secret. People at this point who cannot become developers, who cannot learn those topics, they will never become developers. Okay? People who can learn those topics with almost 100% success rate, they will be able to become Salesforce developers. So this is make or break moment of your career. Oh, I see Nick. Nick, welcome. I know you. You're from the community. By the way, Nick, pay attention. I'm gonna be distilling my whole launch that I did soon enough after the launch is done. And for those people who are watching it and still did not join learnapex.com, guys, you have like 26 hours, I think, to join, and then the deal is gonna be gone. And then I know what's gonna happen. You're gonna ask me in DMs, oh, can I get an extension? Oh, my card failed. Oh, I was on the funeral. Oh, I don't know, my dog ate my MacBook. No, there are gonna be no extensions. I can promise you that. And the course is gonna go up to $500, and the bonus is gonna disappear. No extensions. I'm gonna be ruthless, no mercy. But anyway, so those are the first topics that you need to learn. Okay, if you can learn them, you will be developer. If you can't, there are two possibilities. You might need a little bit of help, like a little bit of mentoring or some kind of explanations, or just a little bit more practice, or maybe you just cannot become a developer. So, okay, so this is very honest. This is very, very honest thing here. So Matthew says breaking down the problem into individual components dependency visually is valuable. Yeah, I agree. I love visual stuff. I'm definitely gonna be. And by the way, for the people who joined already, like Matthew, I know that you joined Learn Apex. I'm gonna be putting new stuff on the learnapex.com because that's a platform that we had an idea to develop not even 1 year ago. Imagine this: 1 year ago, I was I was sitting somewhere. I was sitting in well, not somewhere, in pretty much exactly the same room, and this platform did not exist, and I only had an idea about this. So so we're gonna be adding a lot of new things. But the point is that this is very important. So those topics, they're super important. This is why we have, for example, we have their visual representation, how this whole things, how they work, right? So I want to show you how it looks here, right? Here, those three topics, the most important topics by far. They define your developer career, okay? And what the biggest point here is that I was trying to help people understand this topic, and I developed this here component that visually shows you how those methods work, right? So this is something that I'm really proud about. But yeah, the point is methods. So methods are the hardest out of them. Classes and objects, most people can understand it, but as soon as you're combining all of them, that's kind of getting super hard, right? So we are past this, but trust me, in most cases, this is as hard as coding gonna get. And when you're at this stage, usually what you see, right? This is time, this is your effort. So you see that that in the beginning, you're putting so much effort and you're struggling, like you're literally sweating when you're writing code. And then what you expect that it's going to continue like this, right? But this is not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is that at some point, the amount of effort you're going to be putting into coding is going to go down, and at some point it's just going to level up to a certain level. So the first topics, they're the hardest, okay? So if you feel like it's hard to learn the first topics, yes, it is. This is the hardest moment it's going to be, and only can get easier after, okay? So the next topic after this, let me take a sip of my super nice water here. So the next topic here is if else. But you can see that here in the Learn Apex, I actually took a little bit different approach, and I put here S objects first. I would say that this S object, this is something that that belongs here, and this is a very easy topic. You don't need much of preparation to just go and knock it out. If you're done with this, you can just go and learn it in like one evening. It's gonna be super easy. So even though here what we have, yeah, we do have a couple of tasks here for S objects, I think, especially for this topic, right? So we have quite a bit of tasks, but that's not super huge. Like you're gonna be able to learn it very quick. Now, if you can learn all of this, you will be a developer. I can almost guarantee you. Just it's gonna take time. Yes, you're not gonna be a developer overnight, but you will be one, because it shows that you're physically capable of understanding coding. Okay. So the next topic is if else, and this is for the first time where you start introducing, basically branching out to your code. So you're starting introducing like different possibilities of how your code can execute, and this is exactly the same thing as the decision element in a flow. Decision. Decision. So whatever is the spelling here for the decision. So for most Salesforce admins, consultants, everyone who have been doing at least a little bit of basic flows, it's relatively easy concept to understand. And they go into the control structures, but that's fine. We don't care how they called. We just care that it's is the next topic that you should take. Okay. So after you do this, by the way, shoot your questions in the chat as always. if you have any at this point. um, so yeah, then you can see, let's just go one by one, like step by step here. There's also stuff like switch, for example, but what I suggest is that for switch statement, concrete from switch statement, I really don't recommend you learning it at all. Like switch statement, it's this is the whole phrase, okay? So this is all you need to know about the switch statement, because as a beginner you don't need it. And this is my whole point that I want to make, that you don't need to learn every single Apex concept. You just need to learn enough concepts so that you can write good code. Okay, so no need to learn all of them. So this if else will be completely enough, no need to go in something crazy. And this is the point where you stop being a complete beginner and you become a better beginner. So I don't have a fancy name for it. I don't have a fancy name, but I was trying to come up with a better name. So as soon as you switch to lists, loops, and sets, this is kind of those two topics. They kind of go together. As soon as you switch here, this is where you're gonna feel that you're actually doing real coding. And this is where you're gonna feel like you can actually do something productive already on your job. Sometimes people already with the S objects, they already feel like they can apply it on the job. But this here with the lists and sets, this is where you feel where you get a really ability to write some good write something really nice, basically some kind of script, right? But by the way, about application, so this is another thing that a lot of people ask me, and they're like, hey, I am learning variables, can you show me how variables will be applied in the real world? And I'm like, sorry, the way variables applied in the real world, they go way beyond what we discussed so far, right? So if you want to have a real world example, I'm gonna have to show you with like complex stuff that we have never discussed, and that you will probably not be able to comprehend fully. So this is not a good approach. So it's important when you're learning those concepts, you don't need to focus so much on being able to apply those concepts in the real world. I know it's kind of like, I'm learning Apex, I want to be able to apply it as quick as possible. But trust me, the application, it comes later. You don't need to apply it right now, because if you're in the beginning, you cannot really apply it. It's very similar. Imagine you're going boxing, right? Or you're going to do MMA, right? You go for the first time. You have never ever been to the gym. You have never done MMA, and you're coming to MMA and you're like, hey, I want to be like the super MMA guy. I want to be this, who is this guy? The Irish guy. What's his name? I even forgot his name. So I want to be like this guy. And the trainer say, yeah, okay, nice. You need at least 2 years to be able to be on this, at least to learn the basics, right? This is how it's usually with the martial arts. And it's not exactly the same with Apex. You can learn it relatively quick. But the point is, you wouldn't expect to be able to apply the MMA learnings from the first day, right? The same goes for Apex. You cannot apply them from the first day, but you can apply them pretty quick, right? So this is also important. Don't try to rush into those type of things. Yeah, do you guys have any questions? So switch equal to case. Yeah, switch case, the same concept. A lot of people on the internet love it. I don't think it's best practice. There are some use cases for it, for sure. But, well, I don't want to make it super controversial, to be honest. Because I remember I made the post that don't use switch case. And people in the comments were like, what? Shock. What? You say don't use switch case? Come on. And then they said, I love switch case. Well, I don't think it's best practice. I think it's harder to read switch cases than if statements. Yeah, some controversial here developer opinions. All right. So you can see that once you this is the most important. Okay, so if you can cover this, you're set. You already can use Apex, and you can see it's relatively not that many topics here, right? So you cover this, and you already can use it, right? So go do that. That's the first thing. And another thing that uh, you can spend on this maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. It depends on you, because the most important thing on this stage is practice. Practice. If you don't understand the topic, and this is what happens with a lot of my one-on-one clients, right? So we start mentoring, and then usually with the methods. That happens with methods. They come to me and they say, "Hey, I really cannot understand this topic. Can you explain to me better? Can you explain to me like in different way? Can you give me another resources to read?" And I explain them. I give them a little bit resources, and then they come and say, "Hey, can you give me more resources?" And the thing is that the problem are not the resources. The problem is always the practice. There's no amount of resources that can help you to understand methods, but there is amount of practice you can do to understand methods. I can almost guarantee you that if you go and solve 100 method tasks, you will understand methods way better, maybe not to 100%, but way better than if you go and solve 3 tasks, okay? So at this point, if you're hitting the wall, what you need to do is that you need to go and actually practice stuff. All right. I've been talking a lot. I don't know. I've been talking so much on the last couple of days with the live streaming. Crazy. I don't know if I should switch to live streaming completely. Be a live streamer. Um, but anyway, so you need to try to cover your gaps with more and more practice. And sometimes you're not gonna be able to solve any tasks. What do you do in this case? What I suggest, and this is something that I tell usually my students, let's say methods, right? Let's say you don't understand methods. So what you need to do is that you need to go and let's say, okay, we have here a declaration, right? But we have here a first method. Okay. So the visual representation is fine. What you need to do is you need to go and retype the method. Like literally this retype, not copy paste. Important, not copy paste. Retype it with your own hands. Okay? And you need to do it for all the examples here. It's kind of a strange approach, but this is the way people used to learn. This is the way I think in Roman Empire they've been using this method. It's called copyworks, and a lot of people from copywriting world know about this method, but for some reason the people who studying with coding, they don't know about this. So there's something magical happens when you retype something, because it forces your brain, your muscle memory to memorize stuff, and that forces you, and I can promise you that when you're gonna retype one to one this example, it's not gonna work. It's gonna break, and you will be sitting there like staring at this and I have exactly the same thing, why it doesn't work? But it's not exactly the same thing, because it should work. And then you're gonna have to find an error, and this is how you level up coding in this case. This is what you do when you're stuck. And does it sound like a lot of work? It kind of does. So the quicker you go through these beginner topics, the better. Okay, you don't need to go get stuck on those for a very long time. So usually you need to attack those topics with just having a lot of practice. And doesn't mean the practice is gonna take a lot of time, right? I promised you that you can learn Apex as quick as in like 20 minutes, because you can go, let's see, for example, this one, right? Say age. This is exactly the same example as we had here, right? Because say name, okay, so approximately the same, right? So we need, so it's a very simple. You see, it's not much of the code. So if you had an example, if you really understood this, and if you retype this example, you can also understand this example, right? And you can write it. And this is how you slowly you get started, and then you get better. So here you need to do a lot of practice. And there are a couple of milestones that you need to hit, okay? And the first milestone, number one, it's 50 tasks, okay? So here's my thing. Here's what I noticed, because I've been doing it for 2 years, and I noticed that people who hit 50 tasks, they have like 10 times more chances to actually go full into the into becoming Salesforce developers. Because let's be honest, a lot of people who take who take any courses, who start any type of transformation or go to the gym, they never stick to this. And the 50 tasks, this is the first milestone that you need to hit. And I'm super sure that if you can hit 50 tasks, this is good. It means you have what it takes, right? Now you're just gonna need to repeat the same thing 4 times. So the next milestone is having 200 tasks. It's the second milestone. This is significantly more difficult, because if you see that the 200 tasks, they go a little bit usually beyond basic. So I think here somewhere you would hit 200 tasks, maybe even on the list. So it's gonna be a little bit more difficult, right? But still relatively possible. Like you see the tasks here. Well, you can solve this task literally in 10 seconds, right? It's not insane task. Well, you need to create a list of accounts and then print out an account, right? So it's not crazy. I mean, there are also crazy tasks. I don't wanna scare you. I don't wanna scare you with this. So I'm not gonna show you the scary tasks, but trust me, there are scary tasks. So yeah, you do this, and then you go into the stuff like maps, SQL queries, and DMLs, and this is where you start to apply the stuff that you learned, right? And it's important, if you skip, and this is what a lot of people do, if you skip this step here, you can forget about ever learning those topics. It's just impossible. You're gonna be able to read the code, but you're not gonna be able to write the code. But what's the point of being able to read the code if you can't write it? Like, it's like, well, I can read Chinese, but I can't speak Chinese. Well, nice. Well, still better than not even reading Chinese as I do, but still, it's better to write. So, the biggest difference here, I would separate it into two sections here. That at some point you're gonna see that your the way the code that you write is getting way more applicable. So you're gonna be able to apply and way more things, and you're gonna be recognizing stuff that you've seen in the code base. Maybe you've seen somewhere your triggers or something, and you're gonna be able, this is what this thing is doing. This was this doing. So it usually happens. It usually happens somewhere like around maps and DML and Apex and so on. And that's pretty much it. And then you can go into the triggers, because once you have all these fundamentals in place, the triggers, they just float naturally. Understanding triggers is not that hard. Triggers are relatively easy, but you know when it's impossible to understand triggers? When you don't know maps. Love that your code editor highlights matching syntax pairs. Yeah, actually, this is actually a fun thing. I think maybe I'm gonna do like one live stream just for for enthusiastic people, how we developed all of this. But this is a VS Code editor. It's exactly the same engine, basically. This is exactly the same engine that was this tool? Code Builder is using. Yeah, Code Builder. It's exactly the same thing. Okay, so this is my about backend. Of course, you need to do scheduled and integrations, right? So we're not gonna go too much into this. This is already, by the way, guys, if this is not on the Learn Apex platform, so I warned you, that's not there, but you don't need it, because you have this, and once you know how to do triggers, if you know how to do triggers, you can learn everything else, literally. everyone who understands how to write triggers can learn every single other Apex topic. I can guarantee you. There's no way. I have never ever seen in or 50 people that I worked with, I've never seen a single person who can write triggers but cannot understand cubables or integrations. There's no way. Okay. So this is yeah, this is the whole system basically. I don't want to go too much into this. I have a separate video on all of this. You can watch it. It's like I think 2 hours. So I don't want to hold you here for 2 hours. I don't want to drive you crazy. So guys, do you have any questions? Because don't forget that the time is running out. Time is running out. How much time left? 17 hours. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. No, guys. So the promotion for Learn Apex, it finishes at 11:59 EM EST tomorrow. Tomorrow, okay? And I warned you because I know that in my DMs I'm gonna have so many people saying, "Oh, I could not make it." Well, you were warned, okay? There will be no extensions. All right, then that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you everyone for joining. And then tomorrow is gonna be the last live stream that I'm gonna be doing, probably 2024, maybe even 2025. I don't know if I will ever be streaming again. So join please tomorrow. Bring your questions. The last chance to ask me questions. And then see you everyone on the Learn Apex